Good evening. This is the June meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission. My name is Greg Young. I'm the chair of the commission. And this open meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, the town of Northborough has been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. All members of the Northborough Conservation Commission are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows Northborough Conservation Commission to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tom Beals. You're muted, Tom. Tom Beals.
Here.
Dan Clark.
Here.
Diane Gouldner.
Here.
Todd Helwig.
Here.
Very good. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mia McDonald.
Here.
Jim DiGiulio.
Here.
Thank you. Some ground rules. I will invite each speaker or applicant on the agenda by name to make a presentation and speak to their application. Participants will provide their full name and hold until the name is called. Each speaker will be asked to mute their phone or computer when not speaking and to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded to them by the chair. Speakers who wish to respond to the comments of others do so through the chair, taking care to identify themselves. Each vote taken by the commission will be conducted by roll call vote. After commission members have spoken, we will afford public comment as follows. By phone, dial *9 to raise your hand and wait to be recognized by the chair. Please note that part of your phone number will be visible to those viewing the meeting. By Zoom, click raise hand on the bottom of your screen and wait to be recognized by the chair. I will ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, the chair will call on each name by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Diane, you're up.
Okay. The meeting will include the following hearings pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, and the Northborough Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice of intent for 161 Church Street, map 55, parcel 48, by Rajan Viswanathan for proposed garage secondary to a single-family home and associated site work. Notice of intent for 11 Memorial Drive, map 46, parcel 125, by Jose Garcia for proposed repair of a septic system for a single-family home and associated site work. Notice of intent 0,97 and 99 Lincoln Street, map 62, parcels 4 to 8, by Hamid Hatami for proposed construction of 2 duplex units on 2 separate lots, separate paved drives, utilities, grading, and associated site work. Vote to change section 4.2.3 of the Town of Northborough Wetlands Regulations by creating independent subsections 4.2.4 and 4.2.5 as shown below. Note, no new wording is being proposed. 424. For projects involving steep slopes, highly erodible soils, extensive disturbed areas, or hydrologic conditions likely to promote significant erosion, the commission may require a wider undisturbed buffer to ensure protection of wetland resource areas. on 4.25. Furthermore, the presumption of wetland resource alteration from fertilizers and pesticides may be overcome by providing qualified technical data to the commission, indicating that the chemical products will not alter wetland resource areas. Vote to adopt regulations for stormwater bylaws approved by town meeting May 1, 2021, Article 21.
Yep, thank you, Diane.
You're welcome.
Let's talk about the May meeting minutes first. Does anybody have any comments or concerns or changes to the minutes?
No, all good.
You're good?
I make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes from May 14th,
May 10th, I think. May
Yeah.
10th,
10.
10th, sorry.
okay. Is there a second?
Second.
By Diane. We'll roll call vote. Tom Beals,
Yes,
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig, you must abstain for here because you weren't here.
I am abstaining.
Very good. Good job of that. And I will vote yes.
Who was
Done
the
with it?
second there?
Was, I believe there was Diane.
Thank you.
All right. We have a couple of continuations. The stormwater bylaw has been continued. Fred requested that continuation next month. The consultant's not ready yet, and he wants to get that information in our hands a couple of weeks, hopefully before the meeting, so we can go through that. So do we need to devote that, or is that to
Need to
continue?
vote to postpone the opening.
So we need a motion to postpone the stormwater bylaw discussion.
So moved.
It's proposed regulations for the stormwater bylaw to July 12th.
I move
Todd
that.
made the motion. Is there a second? Second by
Second.
Tom Beals.
yes,
Roll call. Tom Beals,
yes,
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
I will vote yes. Okay. One more continuation. Let's move that along. 0 Hudson Street has also requested a continuation. Mia, they're still working the delineation issues, right? I presume.
They just requested to continue.
make a motion and we continue 0 Hudson Street, the next meeting.
Second.
And by Diane. Roll call. Tom Beals,
Yes,
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
I will vote yes. Continued. All right. Let's see who we have here. 161 Church Street. Mark Morrow, I will promote him in. Well, he's already here. Jim's way ahead of me, as usual.
So I don't know if I've moved him over yet. I see a MS Morrow,
That's him.
That's him,
okay.
yeah.
so I'll move him over now.
Got him?
Yep.
Oh, that's not what I expected. Okay.
That's my granddaughter.
There you go. She's a beauty too. So there you go.
He actually was born when the pandemic first started really getting hot. So I call her my little good luck charm.
All right. So you've been here before, I think, Mark, right? A while back?
It's Matt actually, and yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. Thank you. Okay. All right.
Just to refresh the commission's memory, there has been several iterations of this plan that I've worked with Gerald Buzanowski, the attorney. Mia has been very helpful in guiding this along regulatory wise. And with the homeowner, Raji, I don't know if she's here this evening. She may be.
Don't see her listed.
So, I mean, if I could be permitted to share the screen.
Sure.
My screen sharing skills aren't rapid, so just bear with me for 1 second here. How's that? Everybody can see?
I can see fine, yes.
Yeah,
Thank you. Okay, so this is actually a much more scaled down proposal than what Raji actually was looking to do. Essentially, as Raji would put it, this is their forever home. This is where they're raising their children. This is where they want to live out the rest of their lives. One of the things they wanted to do with the house is they wanted to do some addition work. We've scaled that back, so we have basically a small addition that's shown on the plan right here. And we did it this way because we pulled it out of the floodway, even though it is still in a portion of the floodplain. And we have a driveway section over here that we couldn't avoid with the way the garage was sited. We moved the garage out of the floodplain. Unfortunately, the way the engineer had to curve the driveway, some of it touched the floodplain. And we, again, went through several iterations of this plan to try to work with it. Couldn't do it here on the existing side of this driveway over here for a couple of reasons. Number one, it just wouldn't go with the architectural layout of the house on the inside. You'd really have to redo the whole thing over. And it's a lot closer to the actual bordering vegetated wetland. It would basically take up a lot of your 35-foot no-touch zone, which we also look to avoid. What we're proposing is to make up, the engineer basically outlined the areas of fill and outlined a compensatory storage area. From a volumetric standpoint, which is the calculations he gave me, you have a total of 178 cubic feet of fill and 201 cubic feet of compensatory storage. What we are examining and looking at doing, and I'm asking for the commission's guidance here, is in talking to my client, she's willing to take and do a plantings plan from essentially here, where the retaining wall would be located, down to right about the area of the existing pad here. I can put forth a palette that I use standard for a meadow and shrub planting that would have cultivars in it that would attract a pollinator habitat. It would be attractive to the landowner, and it would provide a nice vegetative buffer for drainage from the new driveway and the new impervious garage structure to the wetland. This yellow line right here is the limit of your 35-foot no-touch zone. This yellow line here is the 100-foot buffer zone. This blue line here is the flood plain. So that's the blue line right here. Your red line here is your flood way. That's basically it for now.
Well, thank you. We several of us walked the site last week on that one, Matt. So we took a look at it. You mentioned retaining wall. Can you point that? Is that dark gray item there that's within the 35-foot piece?
This one right here. Yep.
What's that? And what's that thatch work?
This right here? You're talking about this right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually showing bordering land subject to flooding. That's actually showing the limits of what's being taken up. If you notice, the hash marks coincide with this area right here.
Well, two questions I have. One is on the driveway piece. I mean, that 35 no build zone is a no build zone, and you're in there.
Yes, I know, and I've informed my client of that. It's the siting of the driveway, basically from the engineer standpoint, based on site distances, based on the angle it needs to get into the garage properly. Otherwise we'd have to try doing something at a right angle. And as I stated, Mr. Chairman, we went through a lot of different iterations. You have your existing septic system basically in the front yard right here your existing septic tank right here. It's a very tight site. I
It is a
mean,
tight site. It
Yeah.
is a tight site.
the majority of the site actually is in a riverfront as well. So you have a pre-existing lot, you have riverfront considerations, which the riverfront isn't shown on the plan because it encompasses the lot. You have the 100-foot buffer zone, which is shown right here. You have floodplain and floodway. This particular wetland system, you guys saw it. It's a pretty large system. Excellent diversity in it, and not really overrun with invasives, thankfully. I basically, we're kind of at our, I guess you could say, our wits' end as far as how to configure this thing to try to avoid that no build zone.
Okay. Mia, the question I had there is the floodway versus flood. What's the federal jurisdiction as well on the floodway? Is federal?
Floodway is the federal, and we can't allow any structures.
But that's
So they have
okay with
pulled
this
all the
plan, right?
structures. And then they're proposing fill in the bordering land subject to flooding. That's the 100-year floodplain, and that's one of your regulatory areas.
Yeah, if there was any alteration proposed in that floodway as far as structures go, it would have wound up requiring a whole different set of standards that just would have been way too onerous for an owner of a single family home. So you stay out of there with any structures at all.
Mhm.
Other questions from the commission?
I don't have a question, I guess a comment. I was at the site too, and I agree it's tight, but it did seem like there was a fair bit of lawn between the leach field and the proposed driveway. You're not that close to getting out of that no build zone. There's no way to just shift that driveway over slightly and get out of that zone altogether.
I will ask the engineer to examine that, but when I spoke to him about it before, he told me it was basically the way the driveway needed to curve to go in to get the entrance to the garage that you normally would need, and to make sure that it was properly aligned to the street for sight distance, excuse me. But I will have him re-examine that.
Seems like the simplest solution, as opposed to trying to do all this, restoration and compensation. If you could just move it over. I don't know what the scale is. I can't tell how many feet you would need, but it doesn't look like a lot.
No, it's a 20 scale plan. You won't need a lot. I will ask him to look at that, absolutely.
Do they really need that long a driveway? Can't they just come directly in off this Church Street, make a left-hand turn into their driveway or drive? Don't they want their doors to be at the end of the driveway, right?
Well, in order to do that, you'd have to go over the existing soil absorption system, which the approximate location is right here.
Okay,
That's the limiting factor there. We looked at that, but the septic system is like smack in the way.
okay.
I have a question. I'm just curious, the existing driveway, is that to be removed after this construction's done, or is that to remain?
The existing driveway is slated to remain. The family actually has, children of driving age that live with them. So, they utilize that driveway for both parking and access. The garage is for the parents. The father had some medical issues, and having a sheltered entrance for him to go in and out of to exit the home, get into a vehicle, is a little bit more critical.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions from the commission? Matt, what's the issue with a right-hand turn driveway?
You mean over here?
No. It kind of parlaying what Dan said about moving that driveway over to the right than the proposed driveway. And you said that, you're trying to avoid a right-hand turn. Well, I've seen right-hand turn driveways before.
Okay, I'm missing something. I had a question about a left-hand turn.
Okay, left-hand, the driveway that proposed.
Mhm.
Okay, left-hand turn, direct coming off the street. So you mentioned that if they moved it, it was going to become more of a left-hand turn driveway.
Well, the question I was asked was why couldn't the doors be moved over here and then you just basically turn straight into the garage from the road? The answer to the question is it goes right over the existing soil absorption system. It goes right over the septic system. And we're trying to avoid that.
Oh, I heard that. I heard that one. The other point was moving the existing driveway a little bit to the right, still respecting the SAS as it's there now, coming closer to it, probably not over it. But the comment was made that there would be a left-hand turn driveway which was trying to be avoided.
Okay, I can ask the engineer about that too. I mean, one of the things I can have him do is draw out a sketch plan with different alternative configurations that we could examine at a subsequent meeting.
Does it, I guess my question or looking at this is, does it have to be an attached garage? If it was detached, could you angle it so you could still get in there with the curved driveway?
I mean, I could try that, but the point of the attached garage was so that Raji's husband would be able to enter and exit a sheltered area due to medical issues for getting in and out of the vehicle. And I'll speak to her about it, but that was the premise for the garage. I mean, there was a lot more work that they wanted to do to do some adaptations to the house, but those have been removed because it just would not have been able to meet your bylaw, and there was no alternative configurations that could be even feasible for them to use it. So we're basically just working with the garage at this point.
I have some site photos if you'd like.
Sure.
I'll stop my share here. There we go.
Can you see the street there?
Church Street, and I think we're looking over the leaching system or the SAS, right?
Yes. I'm about to sneeze. Okay, then this is where the garage would be. For scale, there's some commissioners. And there would be the proposed garage with the driveway to the right. Again, where the driveway would lead out to the street. That's the street. This is the other side. This is the existing driveway and the area where the compensatory storage is proposed. And that's it.
So Matt, in this area here, would the proposal be to dig out some of that area and that we're looking at?
That is correct. It would be regraded. It would be graded down. And that big old shrub that you guys saw where the garage was going to go, that's a big old burning bush that I think would probably be good to get rid of.
Big one there behind us.
Yep. The broad stem burning bush.
Are they going to take down the chimney?
Yes, chimney would have to come down.
Well, I know from my position, my perspective, before we would entertain a waiver off the 35, I'd like to make sure that all potential options have been exhausted. So if
No,
that
I
means,
definitely don't disagree with you. And that's why I'm offering to have the engineer draw some alternative configurations, especially based on your questions.
I'd like to see that too. I think it'd be worthwhile.
we have anybody here? Any butters?
Now, I did re-notify the abutters. One thing I should let you guys know, I don't know if any abutters are here. One of the things I normally do when I do an abutter notification is I offer a copy of the notice of intent or plan, the updated plans. I had no takers this time.
Reached out, gave it a shot.
Well, I always do. It's just kind of a standard operating procedure with me. I figure if anybody has a question or they just, you get an abutter notification, even if it's got what it's written on it, sometimes they just miss it and they don't really know why they're getting it. When they see the plan, it helps.
No hands up, nobody requesting access, so I believe that we have no public comments. So I believe we're gonna continue this. And do you want to continue it for a month? You can be ready in July, Matt?
Yes, sir.
That's July 12th, right, Mia? Okay.
Yes,
And that's going to be an in-person meeting, I'm assuming.
yes.
Hey, need a motion to continue.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Tom.
Tom
Roll
can't
call.
second. Sorry.
Tom-
I'm
Oh, Tom
sorry.
can't. Okay.
No, he wasn't here on the December meeting.
I'll second.
10 seconds. So Tom will not vote this then. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner. Where's Diane? Diane Gouldner.
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. So we're continuing that to July 12th.
Now we're locked into these 4 commissioners. Are all 4 of you planning on attending the July 12th meeting?
It will depend on something that happens out in California. If I have to go out there, I will not be here.
Okay, let us know and we can contact the applicant to see if we can continue to August.
I'll do my best to be here, but we'll see.
Life happens.
Oh, yeah.
No, it always does.
Not when you want it to.
No,
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
you're very welcome. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate all the constructive feedback and suggestions.
Well, we'd like to work with you if we can here, so we're giving it a shot, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Good night, guys.
Right.
Let's move over 11 Memorial Drive. And that is Mark Farrell. Mark is here.
Did you find it? Okay. Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much. I appreciate this. Yeah, take care. You too.
Mia, I believe you are on mute, but we have lost Greg. I was having trouble moving Mark over as well. Zoom said it was moving him over to panelist,
Okay.
but he still seems to be an attendee, and I believe Greg is back now.
Okay.
Yeah, I ran into the same problem. Somehow I knocked myself out there. So, you trying to bring Mark Farrell in, Jim?
Yeah, so I tried to bring him over. Zoom said it was moving him over to panelist. Yep, and I'm moving him over now, and hopefully it will work this time around.
You know, I was trying to do it at the same time you were. Maybe we somehow crossed wires and nothing happened.
Possibly. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, sorry about that. And I believe Mark Farrell is here if you'd like to unmute yourself, and you can turn on your video if you would like as well. And Greg, I believe your video is off as well if you would like to turn yours on.
Mark Farrell, you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. We can't see you. Unless you want it that way. That's fine.
I don't know how to make myself visible. Oh, here it is.
There you are.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you and see you.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So we're talking about Memorial Drive, right?
Yes.
We visited the site last week, walked it. Pretty
Okay.
tight, pretty tight.
Yeah, it is tight. There's it's basically going back in the same place. There's no room in the front of the yard, and there's not adequate room on the side. It's going right back pretty much where the existing system is. I kept it as close to the house as I can with Title V. The only other option I had would be put it below the pool area. It's a repair of a septic in the riparian zone, which is allowed, but we're just going to dig it out right behind the house.
Yep.
And replace it.
You're going to take out all the old system, the old soil and so forth, and bring in new soil. And
Yeah, they have to dig out. I believe there's pits in there, so they will dig those out, and any of that soil will be removed, and they will bring in new Title V sand and construct the system. The system that's there now, what they call pits, and they're deeper leaching facilities, and they're not really allowed by Title V. Title V now wants you to kind of spread things out and keep it shallow. Hence, that's why the leach field's bigger than what's there now. But those original pits are not allowed anymore under Title V.
are these ones still working? They still functional?
Well, they're leaching, but they're draining slowly, so they have to keep their tank pumped, and the toilets are running slow in the house, so they need to upgrade the system.
Yeah. Okay. Mia, do you have any pictures to put up?
I'll get those. Hang on. Can you see the tree?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I don't know if you can see these, Mark. Can you see these?
I can see those. Yep.
So I think you're talking. You want to go right where that little tent is now, right? Or right around there.
Right where the tent, or is that an umbrella or a tent? That
Put a
tree.
cover.
I would back up a couple slides if you could, Mia.
Right here.
Yeah, right there. So the far corner of the house, the new tank would be put in that corner right there in that area. And then between the house and the pool area where that umbrella or little tent structure is, the blue tent, the leach field would go in there. That tree would remain, and it would be close to the hedgerow that's in the background.
You can get equipment in and out easy enough there.
Excuse me?
You can get equipment in and out.
Well, it's tight. There's not much room on the side lot line, but that's the only access, so it's the only way to get in. So
Side by where the fence is, the other side.
If we came in on the other side, we'd have to take that tree out. So I proposed, it's in between the house and the pool area. It's in an existing lawn area. So there's, no new disturbances in the riparian zone. I have silt fence below. The soils there are really good. I don't think there's a high erosion potential, but we do have a silt fence there, and I actually modified the plans to designate stockpile area and put supplemental erosion control around the stockpile area.
Okay, we're seeing here we go. Okay, so putting straw wattles behind the pool. Okay.
There won't be much stockpiling there because they will, it's a prior disturbed area. So they would just take what's topsoils there and put that save that for cover and then the rest would have to be removed.
Right? There's really not an alternative, is there?
Not really.
Questions from the commission? No questions from the commission. Let's see if we have any public attendees. Any questions from the public? No hands up. No check in here. All right.
It's pretty straightforward replacement, so. I'm
Yeah, with
good.
not many options, if any.
I make a motion that we issue an order of conditions for 11 Memorial Drive for septic replacement.
Actually, we need a motion to close the hearing.
Okay, I'm sorry. I make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Second by Todd. Roll call. Tom Beals,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner. Diane, you're on mute. You're still on mute, Diane.
Okay, how's that?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Okay, now I'll make a
Any-
motion. to
Any
order-
special conditions?
No,
Sorry.
let's issue the order.
Before you issue the order, I would like to recommend street sweeping because there's a catch basin in the street. Maybe protection of that catch basin.
No problem there, Mark, right?
No problem with that. No, not at all.
And otherwise just the boilerplate for septic. Any other special conditions? I don't recommend permanent markers.
No, I mean, it's, yeah. Okay, so now we need a motion to issue an order of conditions for 11 Memorial Drive.
so moved.
All right, Diane, is there a second?
Second,
Second by Tom. Roll call. Tom Beals,
yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes,
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All set, Mark.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I mean, the biggest deterrent they're gonna have there, the biggest erosion control device, we can't even talk about, it's the pool. They're not gonna want anything in the pool, so they're gonna be all over it, Mark, when he's doing that, so. All right, 09799 Lincoln Street. And I believe we have, don't tell me. Maybe you should tell me. No, it's Brian Waterman is with us.
I am here.
Already, very good, Brian.
There we go.
Anybody else with you? Anybody else you want?
Nope. Hopefully you won't hear my dog barking, so.
I believe the applicant is also in the waiting room. I'm not sure if you want me to move him over as well.
Oh, Hamid Hatami, maybe.
Hamid is there. Yeah, let's bring him over.
Okay,
Not a problem. I'll do that right now.
thank you.
Okay. Last month, we approved the delineation of the wetlands.
Yep.
Now we have a plan to look at.
We do.
If you put that up,
Mia, were you able to receive the the latest one I sent today?
welcome, Hamid.
Hamid, you're muted. Ah, there we go.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Hey, Hamid. Yes, so we have two duplex units proposed. We went initially through the design review committee a while back, and then, we told them we needed to get the wetlands nailed down. We worked out some of the architectural stuff during the design review committee. One, these are the actual architectural plans that Hamid has gotten. They worked out some things on the, what color the siding and all those things will be. The little landscape islands you see in front of each unit in between the driveways were things that were requested by the design review board that we show. So those are carryovers. As you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, the wetlands, we delineated and had those confirmed via an ANRAD a month ago. This design incorporates the proposed driveways to each unit, the proposed septic systems. Now, the septic systems are outside the 100-foot buffer zone. That's a result, where DEP will go 50, the local board of health and the conservation regulation is outside the 100-foot buffer zone. So we've shown those outside the 100-foot buffer zone. These are based on an 8-bedroom septic system. That is, there are 4 bedrooms in each unit. So the lot 1 would have its own septic system for that duplex, and lot 2 would have its own system for the 2 duplexes to the north. Just to stay on the septic systems for a minute, we did have witness soil testing with the Board of Health last week with our soil evaluator. We found really good soils on that north lot. Perk rates were like 3 minutes an inch. It was really nice sandy stuff. So the system to the south, the sea horizon, the parent soils were still a little too wet. It's nice sandy stuff, but we couldn't run a perk yet. So we're monitoring those to run the perk tests. Board of Health will be back to witness those at that time. The infiltration systems you see highlighted in blue, 2 for, if you want to look at the north or south lot first. Yeah, the north lot's fine, Mia. Those have been sized by our engineer to take, the one to the north there will be unit 4, would take care of unit 4, and the one to the south for unit 3. Those have been sized for a 1/2 inch runoff from each roof. And those have been sized to do that, as well as sited and the elevation set on those per some of this additional soil testing that we can commence last week with witness testing, and also additional exploratory testing. So we have a really good idea where groundwater is. So all that is based on the on what we found from the soil testing, the type of soil we have. We do show 2 rain gardens there that are kind of in that yellowish green towards the edge of the road and off the side of the driveway. Those are sized to take each driveway itself. We know we have great infiltration, so the runoff from each driveway, if it doesn't infiltrate on its own, we have directed to a what's called an ACO brand trench drain in the end of each driveway. So any runoff on that limited area pavement will be directed to a rain garden. Those have been sized to handle that driveway runoff, excuse me, to a ponding depth of 6 inches, which is about the max you want to push on a rain garden. And again, we know we have excellent infiltration rates underneath the rain garden. The rain garden to the north driveway there is smaller. If that overtops, it will collect along the edge. Excuse me, this is a flat site, but everything is pitched to the next driveway down. It would be collected at that trench drain and then redirected to the larger rain garden to the south. And then if that ever overflows, there's an outfall point to the southwest there that you can see. And that would be directed back to infiltrate into the wooded area or towards the isolated wetland. That's about 70 feet from the isolated wetland. So it'd probably infiltrate before it ever got there, but it's keeping all the runoff on the site, either infiltration through the underground infiltration systems for the roofs, or the driveways sheet flowing off into lawn areas or into the rain gardens.
Brian, is the reason that you have one larger rain garden than the other, is that just because of the one's close to the septic system?
Well, it's that, and that north driveway, the farthest north driveway, that rain garden's sized just for that driveway. Where the one to the south, we oversized a bit. It'll take both its own driveway there, the unit to driveway 3. And additionally, if anything overtops from that north rain garden or, you know, doesn't infiltrate and gets to this point, the secondary garden would take that additional runoff. So that's why that secondary one to the south is a little larger. The units are sited mainly one during design review. They asked that the units be placed, you know, not up close to the street, and 2, additionally, with the 100-foot setback requirement for the septic system, you know, we were kind of forced to push the house to the back. They had looked at larger units initially a while back, but these are smaller units that, you know, footprint wise. You'll see in the backyard there, we do have 35 feet to the erosion control barrier. So it's right on the 35-foot no build. It's kind of hard to see in this colored one, but we have the proposed post and rail fence around that whole area with the wetland signage, which is typical of what we've used on a couple of other Northborough and other jobs we've done as well. So, and then we're limiting tree clearing as much as we can, you know, to still provide some yard on the side and back for each unit. But, and I know one of the questions, Mia, can you zoom in a little bit on the retaining wall along unit 3, please? Yep. I know one of the questions in your initial comments was, you know, what is the height of that wall? The wall at its highest point off the corner of the driveway is about 6.9 feet. Yep, you can see put top of wall there, 306, 305 and 3016 at the bottom of the wall. And then as it ends towards the driveway, it's 4 feet, and then it dead ends at about 2 feet. That's a cast in place wall where you're going to be pouring a wall for off the side of the garage there to save space and also make this strong and minimize the disturbance toward the 35. We're doing a cast in place wall there. So that'll be a concrete wall that's formed and poured in place. So that way we're able to minimize, you know, how close we get to the 35 there. Additionally, we added the post and rail fence off the end of the wall, off the bottom of the wall, excuse me, and ran it out towards the rain garden. And we also did that towards the southwest side where the wall, it's labeled there, the post and rail fence would tie into the wall. So that effectively closes that area off to people between the wall and the fence at the bottom of the wall. It kind of provides a pretty good barrier there. And that'll also have the signage as well. So I think that takes care of the north unit. Did you have any questions on this one while we're here?
I don't have any more questions. Commissioners have a question? No. Let's move on.
So again, to the south, this is an area, I think if you can see the squiggly tree line here underneath, it's kind of shaded in the background. This is the area that would previously had some historic clearing. And then in the bottom right-hand corner of the lot, you can see there's an old house foundation shown. That was from the 40s. I'm not sure when that was taken away, but the clearing was more recent.
Where's the foundation, Brian?
Down there to the right-hand corner, you see that square right there that has
Oh,
a hat?
yes, okay, yep, got it.
That was the historic location based on the 1940s plan. I don't know when it disappeared. It's kind of hard to tell from the record plans we have. But it does show that, there was some work on this land for, many, many years ago. But some of the more recent tree clearing, I think, was in 2014 or 15 on this lot. It's become successional. It's got 8 to 10 foot high knotweed on it now. It's got aspen and multiflora rose and some other invasives as well. So the dark green line shows the proposed tree line. Now there is an area kind of shaded in pink off the back end of the house there where it says restore historically disturbed area 35-foot no disturb. So that's an area that was already previously cleared that we would reestablish the 35-foot with our fence line, and we'll restore that area of 35-foot with some tree species and some shrubs to bring that back from the invasive stuff that's there now, and it'll tie back into that existing tree line. So that'll be an area of 35-foot buffer that was previously disturbed that we'll restore under this new plan. Again, the infiltration systems are shown here in blue. Again, they've been sized to handle the 1/2 inch runoff from the roofs. And then we have the 2 rain gardens. This one, just the way the drainage patterns are, the middle rain garden is a little bigger. And then there's the rain garden to the south, off the south driveway. Would take any additional overflow along with the driveway there. And then again, if that overflows, there are no curbs on this road. There's a slight dip we've designed at each driveway entry. So no flow going out onto Lincoln Street. Between the area drains, the trench drains at the end of the driveway and the way it's graded. We're keeping everything that falls on the site through infiltration, and we know we have really good infiltrative soils out here. So we're doing that to maintain that. This septic system, again, is sized to handle both units. We've shown a separate septic tank for each. We do know the Board of Health agent inquired whether we could just break up, the leach fields into 2, like each unit would get 3 trenches and the other unit would get 3 trenches. That's something legal wise and how the ownership of each unit maintains it and what they're required to, pay for in the future. But again, it's all outside the 100-foot buffer zone. It'll be designed to meet the Board of Health regulations. So again, on this site, the majority of the work is actually in the area that's previously disturbed and has a lot of invasives now. There is some new tree clearing in that back northwest corner. Again, we've wrapped everything around the 35 with the stockade fence with wetland signage. As far as the rain gardens, I know Mia said there's a successful rain garden just to the north of us on the school property. We've had good success on some single family home rain gardens, and we're speccing some of the plant species on that. And keeping these away from the direct edge of the, near the house, that helps limit people cutting them and mowing them. I've wrote Mia today about, potentially some new signage for the rain gardens. We have the signage for the wetlands, but we're going to come up with a signage, that says, do not mow the rain gardens. And we've also submitted an operation and maintenance plan, both for the infiltration systems and 2 for the rain gardens, which are Their long-term maintenance programs for rain gardens specifically that was developed through UMass and some of the Mass DEP comments. You know, depending on the species, whether you're cutting back tall grasses in the fall, you're replacing your 2 inches every year. If it ever fails, what the process is to muck it out and rebuild it. So we submitted a draft operation and maintenance plan to Mia today. I know you obviously haven't had time to review it. It's one we've incorporated on a couple of other sites in other towns, and it's been well received. So, you know, take a look at it when you have a chance, and if there's anything you'd like to expand or add to it, we can take a look at that.
Now, Brian, the rain garden across the street, Lincoln Street School, there's actually, I think, 3 there. The one nearest
Okay.
the street had quite a sort of history. It took a couple of dig outs and clean outs and replantings before it was moving forward, but it's operating perfectly now.
Yeah.
But there are some signs already there. Maybe you could leverage off of about.
Yeah, I'll take a look and see. And that one's probably taking a parking runoff, so that's probably a much greater flow, and it probably also gets sanded and salted a lot heavier, potentially with the school being what it is. But yeah, certainly if we can find any other rain garden signs, you know, we'd be happy to incorporate those. So
Now, on the property here, there's a perennial stream, correct?
no, there's an intermittent stream to the south. Let's see, Mia, do you have the existing conditions plan? I think that was sheet 1 in the set we sent.
Sure, let me grab that.
Thank you.
Hey, Justin, welcome, Justin.
Hey guys.
Hey, Justin.
Hello.
I ask a question while we're waiting, Greg?
Yep.
So on the plan, you have the rain gardens and infiltration listed as potential. Is you just haven't picked a final location, or is there existence potential? I mean, are they gonna?
No, the infiltration systems are set. The rain garden, I didn't change the label from potential rain garden because we had other ones that were potentially going to take roof runoff. But now that we've done the additional soil testing and actually sized and set the infiltrators, these rain gardens, yeah. And I know Mia has asked for more detailed planting and species on these, so we'll be finalizing those and submitting a more detailed outline, and those will be the official excuse me, rain garden designs. So the next set of plans you get before the next meeting will have the true footprints and the exact plant species and number of species for each one.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Oh, you were there a second ago. Oh yeah, there you go. The rotation of this plane is obviously 90 degrees, but you can see the intermittent stream is labeled to the bottom left-hand corner there.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, yes,
So there's flowage along the church side, and also intermittent flowage coming from the back area of our wetland that goes into that intermittent stream. It discharges through a 15-inch culvert to the south and to the east and flows. It eventually connects down to the brook farther to the south, east, I'm sorry. I'm all turned around now. This plan is different rotation. But yeah, there's no 200. The perennial stream is several hundred feet to the south of that. That's is it Hop Brook or one of those? On this second plan, you'd asked about proposed snow storage. So I've outlined those on here in the thick dashed lines. We left the rain gardens and some of the other supplemental plantings on here, so you can see they're not within the snow storage areas, because we don't want snow stored within or on top of the rain gardens. The dark evergreen circles you see on the south lot, those are screen plantings because that'll be a raised septic system. So those are additional screen plantings we'd be adding along that edge.
They're raised on one lot, not on the other, Brian?
The other lot, it doesn't really need to be because we have such good soils and depth groundwater there. Just by the nature of grading this site, you won't see its own mound essentially on the north system. So just the natural grade to get up to the houses there, it covers that system with plenty of cover. This one, we anticipated we would have a higher groundwater, and that's why this system would be raised.
Okay, Mia, we have no DP number yet, correct?
That's correct.
No.
So no file, no comment yet, okay.
No. So we knew we wanted to, get this initial presentation. A lot of this set of plans addresses a lot of the initial comments you guys had. And the next set of plans will obviously have, like I said, the formalized rain garden plantings. It'll have all the calculations and the elevations for all the stormwater infiltrators. We do have the detail for the ACO trench drains for the driveways. So we'll get that added and have the final stamp plans to you shortly. But if there are any additional comments from tonight from the initial questions you emailed the other day, we'd be happy to add those and take care of them in the meantime.
Mia, do you have any questions that you wanted Brian to clarify?
I had a couple things where I did recommend that I don't like putting deed restrictions, but I think this property would need one thing, and I gave him a sample of one. And in addition to that, I'd like reference to the operation and maintenance, or maybe reference to the order, and then we could append the operation and maintenance plan to the order.
Yeah, I assumed you'd be attaching the O&M to the order.
Yep, and then if we could get a deed reference to the order. And then, did you provide a construction sequence?
Yeah, it's on that snow storage.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
We may expand on that once I, if there's anything else that the developer wants to, if something's out of sequence, we're going to add something else in there.
Okay.
But yes, there's a draft one on there right now.
And do you know if you're clearing more than an acre?
Can you go back to the
Sure.
site plan, Mia, please? I put those numbers on the plan. I know that was one of so over on the left-hand side, if you zoom in right where it says lot 1 and lot 2, maybe.
Here?
You can see note proposed disturbed area for lot 2 is 21,780. Proposed area is 25,580. So we're at about 46, just over 47,000. So just, an acre and a third, I guess, total.
Okay, so I would recommend SWIP reports from an environmental monitor weekly as a condition.
So that could just be put in the order of conditions and then maybe submitted directly to you guys.
Yep, just email
Would
us a
that be
PDF.
would that be every week or just after like a quarter or half inch of rainfall?
Are you guys filing an NIPD's permit?
Is
Is it considered two separate lots?
No, they look at it to be total over 1 acre. So
Yeah. Yeah, so just copies of those same reports.
Okay.
And those are required weekly.
Yeah.
And email by PDF is fine. Or PDF by email.
That is for you, Mia?
I think so.
Any commissioners have questions or concerns or comments?
I didn't mean to wander out, but are the roads going to be kept clean and this, with a lot of traffic, school buses and all that, how are they going to handle it?
Hi, Diane. One thing that's not shown on here is a track pad at each driveway. We're also closing off the driveway at each night with straw wattles. And I would imagine the applicant will have to commit to street sweeping as well. As far as, you know, when construction starts and when school's out or school's in, there may have to be something discussed about, you know, when construction starts, you know, if school buses are, I think that school starts by 7:50 in the morning typically. I'm not sure when they're getting released for summer and going back, but obviously, you know, the contractor doesn't want to be trying to move in and out of there fighting school buses or school traffic. So would imagine they'll probably adjust to whatever the school system is, their timing. But other than that, like I said, the way the site is kind of graded and it's so flat, and with the erosion control barrier, there's not a lot of room for stuff to get, you know, to flow off the site as far as it rains. The biggest thing would be potentially tracking dirt into the road. And again, we'll be adding the track pad at each driveway or construction entrance, and then closing it off at night with the straw wattles. And again, it's so very flat. You know, we don't have a steep slope pitching out to the road or coming down a hill. So I would imagine, I think we can control dirt on site pretty well on this particular project.
Okay.
Ryan, do you have a date for planning board yet?
No, we're working.
I would think that those are the questions you're going to get from them, be around this, how you're going to interact with the school traffic.
Yes, we anticipate that'll be one of the ones for sure. I mean, they know of the project between the design review board and some initial informal. So, but yes, we'll be filing formally with them shortly.
Yeah, it'll be a very visible project, right? With all those cars coming out every single day back and forth. So, any more questions from the commission? I don't know if we have any public
Hey,
comments.
Brian, just a quick one on my end. Those ACO trench drains, I think work pretty well. Can you just make sure the last section of those has a sump on it? They make them so that basically it's a standard pitch across the bottom of the drain the whole way, but you can buy the very last section to have a 2-foot sump, and then the pipe comes out above that sump. It just gives you a little bit more area in there to trap some sediment and stuff before it goes into the rain garden. So it doesn't screw up your invert or anything getting into the rain garden, but it does give you a little bit of volume in there to trap some sediment.
Oh, yeah. That's good. Yep. Actually, I think I did see that on their other detail we have. So, like I said, we'll be adding the ACO, but I'll make sure we have the one with the 2-foot sump.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any public comment? Any questions from anybody attending? I don't see hands up. Take a look here again. No. Nope. So we're not going to continue this to next month. Is next month good, Brian, or do you need more time?
No, that'll be fine.
July 12 meeting, right?
When is it?
July 12. That'll be in person, I believe. So.
Yeah, been some discussion on that. I have an in-person in Sudbury Wednesday night, but on Thursday we have the option of in-person or virtual at another town. So
I don't think we've got.
The governor's supposed to announce some formal policy here, so guess we'll see.
I'm not sure if we're going to go hybrid or full.
Right, yeah, but we'll plan on seeing you guys in person July 12th.
Okay, we need a motion to continue.
So
I'll make a
moved.
motion to continue 95 and 97 Lincoln Street to next meeting.
Second by Todd.
I'll second that.
Very good. We'll roll call vote. Justin, I think you're eligible to vote now. You've been around long enough to hear what's going on here, correct?
All right. Yes.
It's not your turn. It's not your turn yet. Calm down. Calm down.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Tom Beals,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes,
Justin Dufresne.
And now I thought about it. Now I don't know.
Oh,
I'll go with yes.
Well, you already commented on the subs. You're in trouble.
okay. Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Very good. Thank you, Brian.
Good
The
night,
meeting will
everybody.
See you in July.
All right.
Thank
sounds
you.
good. Good night.
Have a good night.
take care.
We have no COCs, Mia, right?
That's right.
Let's talk about the 0 Ball Street. Vote to consider the town's right of first refusal. Mia and Dan, I think, can update us on that piece of property.
Dan, would you like to speak to it?
Sure. So we, the Open Space Committee took a look at this parcel at our last meeting to basically consider its value within the context of open space protection within the town. It's about 5 acres up off of Ball Street. And the owner's looking to sell it. I guess she has something in place already. So it would be a single family house. And after some debate and discussion, the Open Space Committee just felt that this particular parcel didn't really meet the criteria that would sort of elevate it to a position where we'd be interested. We think it would be interesting for the town to try and purchase it. It's a bit isolated. It's probably its greatest potential value might be as agricultural preservation restriction, but the soils aren't conducive for that type of thing. So reluctantly, I mean, I know personally, I always hate to pass up opportunities to preserve open space in town, but in this particular case, we don't think it's worth pursuing.
Okay. Any questions from the commission?
And I'm sorry for the delayed memo that I just got out today. The Open Space Committee met last Monday and they asked me to send a memo to you that they do not, so it's official, they do not recommend purchasing this parcel.
Okay. We need to vote to agree with the Open Space Committee's position not to purchase.
Yep,
Correct.
and I need to send a memo to the Board of Selectmen from you. And, you know, we would mention, of course, the same vote from the Open Space Committee.
All right, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion that the Conservation Commission recommend not purchasing this piece of property on 0 Ball Street.
Second.
Second by Todd. Roll call, Tom Beals,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner. Diane, you're on mute. Diane, you there? We'll come back. Todd Helwig,
Yes.
Diane, you there? I will vote yes. So Diane has stepped away. We've got a quorum, we've got a majority vote.
She might be there.
You there now, Diane?
I am.
You gonna
I
vote?
don't know why it's muted. I'm sorry.
What's your vote?
Yes,
Very good. Okay.
sorry
All
about
right.
that.
A CR for Harvard Street. Our next item. You have some background on that, Mia?
Sure. So the Open Space Committee And you purchased 615 Howard Street rear back last fall. I think it's been over a year now, actually. I think it was last summer. And now we've been working on the conservation restriction, the open space committee, and the state and Sudbury Valley trustees have been working on this. It's been reviewed by town council and it's ready for signature. I did have a copy in the Dropbox and sent it out to you, and it's going to be signed by you and then also by the Board of Selectmen on June 28th. And then after that, we'll have a CR in place on the property.
Who's going to hold the CR?
Sudbury Valley trustees. And I want to know too, so you still have that certificate of vote where you allow me to sign for you, but where this is a deed, I'm wondering if we should have real signatures. If you wouldn't mind, town hall is open and coming in and signing it.
What's the time frame for that?
Board of Selectmen is June 28th, so we have at least till then.
All right. So we need a vote to approve the signing of the conservation restriction for 615 Howard Street.
I would move that we sign the conservation restriction.
Second.
Second,
Seconded by Tom Beals. Roll call. Tom Beals,
yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes,
Todd Helwig,
Yes,
and I vote yes. So we should all make it into town hall sometime in the next 2 weeks.
We remember we're Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 to 4. Tuesday, it's 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. We're here later on Tuesdays. And Friday, it's 7 a.m. We're here extra early till noon. And if you have a lot of trouble, I can drive it out, drop it in your mailbox. Just don't lose it.
Don't lose it. Next item is the section 4.2.3 of the Northborough Wetlands Regulations. We want to put in some new wording, which really just tightens up what's already there, right?
Yes, we had discussed making these separate bulleted items so they can be referred to in orders, discussions, decisions. And that was for you to exercise your right that for projects involving steep slopes, highly erodible soils, extensive disturbed areas, or hydrologic conditions likely to promote significant erosion, the commission may require a wider undisturbed buffer to ensure protection of wetland resource areas. There's an extra D in there. I'll take that out. No new wording is proposed, just bulleted out.
Second piece talks about fertilizers and pesticides altering. But if the applicant can give us some technical data showing that they will not, we can take that into consideration. That's all that
Yes.
says, right? Okay, any questions or comments on this? Any public comments? No public comments. Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
No, are we good?
We're good.
So I make a motion that we add sections 4.24 and 4.25 as discussed.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dan. Roll call. Tom Beals,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
yes,
Todd Helwig,
yes, sir.
and I will vote yes. All right, yeah, that's good news there. We have a violation to talk about too, right? 87 Washburn Street. Filling, altering wetland resource areas. I believe we have some people here for that, Mia. Do you want to kind of give us an update while we bring them in?
Sure, can you hear me? I'm trying to grab the photos. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Cassidy, right?
It's Tim Cassidy, that's right. So I was invited to 190
Yep, he's in.
Howard Street.
Mhm.
That's a project that'll come down the road. Hopefully they're proposing a pasture. And so there's 2 wetland resource areas within 100 feet of this possible pasture that they might be putting in at that address. And so the homeowner at 190 Howard invited me and requested me, I don't go poking in people's backyards. She requested me to come and visit and to show her the limits of those wetlands so that she could measure off the pasture. And when I was walking back there, the backyards of quite a few properties abut into this 190 Howard Street. And unfortunately, I found some fill at 87 Washburn, and it's just yard waste, but it is pretty significant. And I do think the wetland has been altered, and the yard waste needs to be removed. Mr. Cassidy did agree to meet with me. And so, I can share some photos, but he said he was willing to work with the commission to restore it.
Tim Cassidy, you're with us. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Super. Thank you. Thank you. You have some pictures, Mia?
I do. Can you see them?
Yes.
So this is from the June 1st, 190 Howard Street. You can see the yard waste, the grass clippings, and the leaves here that I'm standing in. This is actually a wetland. Like when I dig down under the grass clippings, there's wetland soils underneath.
Sorry, what's the perspective here?
So I'm looking into the backyard. This blue house here is 87 Washburn.
Okay.
And that's the lawn there. And then this is kind of a woody area behind where they've been putting. And if you want, actually, it might help for me to show you where this is in town before we look at the photos.
Is it near that development of those 2 or 3 large homes that were built in the off Washburn Street?
A little bit. Can you see my town GIS?
Yes.
So down here is Harrington Lane.
Yep. Okay.
Craig Callahan's project came before you earlier this year because they're trying to finish up the project. So this is that wetland system, and it comes from the north here. It comes in from the south here, goes under the street, and then drains this way to Barefoot Brook. And this is Washburn Street. This is 87 here. This is 190 Howard. And so this is the area we were walking. So this blue line really does continue. There's the blue line continues straight down. And if I add topography, you can see how it flattens out a bit here. Oops, let me move up a bit. It flattens out a bit here. So the wetland's a little bit wider than the blue stream.
The line continues there. So the line, it's connected.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay.
So I can go back to the photos. So it's probably like a 50 by 70 area. And at the site visit, Mr. Cassidy said that him and his neighbor have been putting leaves here just historically. And then I visited from the other side. So you can see here, now I'm been invited to 87 Washburn. I'm in their backyard now, and I'm looking out into the wetland. Now I'm looking at 190 Howard.
It does look wet in the front there, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's wet in the back. So this whole area has been filled. And this area has experienced historic flooding, not just from this. This is just one small piece. You know, we've got development. I think prior to the development of Washburn Street, this wetland probably went across Washburn straight across to Barefoot Brook. And now it goes down and loops around. So it's just, you know, historical urbanization. I don't think this is the root cause of all the flooding on Washburn Street. You know, in fact, Mr. Cassidy and I were talking about some other issues on drainage on Washburn Street that we're going to discuss. I'll talk to Fred Litchfield, the town engineer, about some poorly draining catch basins, things like that. But this area does need attention, and this could improve the flooding in the area a little bit.
Wasn't the culvert under Washburn Street redone as part of the Callahan development?
It was cleaned out. Mm-hmm.
Cleaned out. All right. So we'd like to get that brought back to its natural condition, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And what did you recommend that Mr. Cassidy do?
I recommended he pulled out the yard waste, like the fresh yard waste, one that's not decomposed. And if you can see the yard, the lawn clippings and the leaves, bag those up and either, you know, store them somewhere else on the property 25 feet away from the wetlands, or haul them away to the DPW site in the brown bags or a tarp. And then when he starts to, after we removed that layer, we're going to have a deep organic layer before we get to the wetland soils. And I think even some of that is going to need to come out because I think this is decades of yard waste. And I said that, you know, that organic layer, some of that needs to come out. They can spread that on their lawn. They could sell that. It's going to be beautiful. But as long as it comes out, and I'm willing to work with them to show them the extent of the wetland and how deep to go as well. So I'd recommend issuing a friendly enforcement order, asking them to pull out the yard waste and restore the wetland to its natural elevations. And I'm willing to assist with that. And then as far as time frame, maybe we want to talk with Mr. Cassidy about how much time he might need.
Thoughts the commission has, comments, questions?
Just a question, the fresh material, I assume you can just sort of rake out. How are you going to get the organic material? Like a shovel?
Yeah, nothing's growing there.
Yeah.
Nothing's growing. It's acting as a nice mulch that's compressing anything from growing. So yeah, they'd have to shovel that out. And then I think once it's shoveled out, it's just going to start the ferns. Maybe I can share the pictures again. Those ferns around the back here, they're just going to start filling right back in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the pictures of those ferns.
It's about 150 square feet, Mia?
I think about.
Any more question from the commission? Okay. Mr. Cassidy, do you have any questions?
I don't. I appreciate that Mia's willing to come back out and once we hit the dirt layer and delineate, you know, that's mulch versus the ground.
Yep, it's a great resource to have on your side, that's for sure. So, so I guess it's timing. The question is timing. What do you think you need timing? Can you get it done by the weekend? Just kidding. Just kidding. That's not.
Well, I'd like to ask for a year if that's not too much. It's a lot of weekends.
I mean, I personally don't have any issue with the timing as long as it's not going to add to the problem during that period.
Mia's delineated what the boundaries were and where I can use going forward.
What do you think, Mia? Is that reasonable?
Yep, I think maybe putting it back on the agenda for, I mean, this is now June. We could put it back on for the next May and just check in. You know, we'll have no snow cover by then. We'll see what's popping back up and reevaluate if any more work is done. And any more work is needed.
I think it needs to be a little less than a year so that we can hit that spring grow season. So it probably needs to be completed by the latest of April of next year.
Okay.
So we want to put on the April agenda for a touch point, which should be probably sometime in the middle of April, Mr. Cassidy.
All right.
So we're recommending a friendly enforcement order, Mia, right, to have documentation on it. You'll provide some support, Mr. Cassidy and company, and we'll look for a status report. Well, you may have a status report in the interim. He may move quicker. Who knows? But we'll have a formal checkpoint at the April meeting.
Okay.
Do we want to vote this?
Yes, vote to issue the enforcement order.
Okay, so we need a motion to issue the enforcement order with remediation and as discussed to be completed by April of 2022.
So moved.
Second,
Second by Tom Beals. Roll call vote. Tom Beals,
yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes,
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Very good.
Mr. Cassidy, are there any questions we can answer for you?
Not at this time.
And you have my number and my email.
I do. Thank you.
Cassie, thank you for working with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your
All right.
time.
All right. Proposed expansion of the Mount Pisgah Conservation Area parking lot on Smith Road. We talked about this a couple of months ago, I think. And there were a number of opinions brought forth that ranged from let's do it to let's get some more data around the non-COVID environment, see if the usage is still up. So where are we in this meeting in terms of the momentum in town or the feelings
So
around it?
the Trails Committee discussed it again at their last meeting, and they asked me to bring it up again, but none of them are here. So I don't know if you want to get more input from them, but I do staff their meetings for now every month because I'm their web host, I'm their gym. So they still would like to expand the parking lot. And I have the trail camera footage of the parking lot, and it does confirm for the past month, even post, we're starting to enter that post-COVID time period. Every night and every weekend, the parking lot is completely full. I don't have pictures down the street. The parking lot holds about 9 cars, and it is full just about every evening and every week, all weekend. So the Trails Committee would like permission to apply, to look for funding sources to expand the parking lot.
Like it would be DPW, right?
Fred has offered to design it. So we wouldn't have to get engineering costs.
Commission comments?
And I got
I'm
the same
okay.
comment from last time.
Was?
Maybe we should spend the time and money protecting the resource instead of expanding the parking area.
Bob, you were saying something?
I'm okay with them trying to find some funding. I think we need to talk about, where we would expand it to and how many spaces we're talking about, and that type of, or at least have Fred do a preliminary, layout. I guess I'm not interested in seeing another 25 parking spaces up there. But if we're gonna add 6 or something, that's reasonably doable. And if they want to go see if there's some funding or something like that, then they ought to pursue whatever resources might be available.
Yeah, Fred would come in with a preliminary plan. He's the expert here. He designs parking lots. And I also forgot to say, I did reach out to some land managers, to Marlboro, SVT, and Greater Worcester Land Trust to ask them, because we've got this chicken or the egg. We've got use, we're having trouble managing it. Would a reduced size parking lot? The consensus was overwhelmingly that a reduced size parking lot will not control how many people visit your site. It's like once you build it and they've come, a reduced size parking lot, people are just going to park on the street. So they're already there. There's 2 avenues we have. We have intense use right now. We have intense use and some management issues. We have to figure out how to respond to that use. Colin Novick from Greater Worcester Land Trust was very helpful. He discussed with me at length, like, you have this use, you're at a fork in the road. Do you respond to the use with increased parking, with wider trails, which just happen? You just see them happening, and we respond to those pinch points, like that new boardwalk that the Eagle Scout. By the way, the Eagle Scout's getting his Eagle Scout this weekend. He's the one who made that nice bridge, and the restoration area worked perfectly. We had the 60-foot. The trail was over 60 feet wide. And then his bridge brought it back in, and now it's back to 10. So we're going to hit these management issues. Or the other side of the work is, if we turn left, is we have to put things in like gates, Jersey barriers, fees, which I don't think we're interested in doing, but we do need to manage it to what the goals are for the area. So we're still having those long-term management conversations, but a reduced parking lot is not going to keep people from attending. And he's like, are they? Are they not attending? Or are they parking up and down the street in places they're not supposed to? And that is what's happening.
So we had a while back heard a presentation about some patrols and that died in committee. So now you want to spend money, which is presumably going to be CPC money. I don't know, $20,000 to do this. Couldn't we spend the $20,000 actually doing something about controlling the trails?
Do you mean the ATV?
Yeah.
I want to talk about the elephant in the room. You have voted to purchase an ATV. I have been instructed that this purchase order will not be signed and not to fill it out.
Died in committee.
So, well, not really. It died. I'm staff and I answer to my supervisors. So if you wanted to proceed, you have to make it proceed.
And that's fine. But how much is a parking lot? I mean, first of all, 6 spaces is not going to solve the problem. Right?
Well,
There's
we'll
more
go to Fred
cars-
for that.
Right. So if you were to do 6 spaces, you're not going to solve the problem appreciably.
Mhm.
And I don't know what that's going to cost, but if you put a number on it, I don't know that that's the best use of those funds in terms of helping the resource by making it easier for mountain bikers to park in the parking lot and get their tools in and out of their car to, make more trails.
Yeah. I also want to report that the trail cameras are really, I don't know if it's the trail cameras that's working, but do you remember on the South Overlook, we had that area where people were dive bombing down and ruining the scrub oak? There's 4 types of oak there. And 2 of them are a red and white scrub oak, which are threatened. The area is completely restored. And for the past 2 months, I haven't seen a single mountain biker go down it.
When
And
was
they
the
look
last
at the
time you were
camera.
there? They've
Last week.
They come down the other side. So if you're
Other side what?
if you're standing at the bottom of
Okay.
the cliff there, right, where they used to come down, they're on the left. They've created a new trail off the cone of the South View.
I didn't see anything.
It's very nice. It's cleared. They've built the bridges and they've built up the supports of the retaining walls so it doesn't collapse.
My computer's moving slow. Here it is.
So how about an alternative and we just close the whole entire place for like a year?
Even I won't go
Don't
that
need a
far.
parking lot then.
Who's going to enforce it?
It's cheaper.
If you want the ATV, there's a way to get the ATV. The police want it. We want it.
What's the way?
Greg, help me.
I believe the way would be, the ATV approval was stuck in committee, but actually it never left, the buck stop here's desk.
Well, right.
So
Obviously.
I think we need to, if we want to pursue this, we need to personally contact the town manager and implore him to sign the purchase order, which we've approved, for the ATV. So that is an approach.
Okay.
You know what the resistance is?
I don't. It's above my pay grade. I do know the chief of police has told me that he can't have his guys get out of their cars and go up the hill on foot. Because if they're up there and they get a call, it takes too long for them to get back to the car. Which is why he wants the ATV.
What about if we wrote a letter to John or an email and we referenced the police part of it too? Starting point?
I mean, you've already established that the hill needs more management. and the police are willing to assist. We had the meeting.
And there's a valid point here too, which is, before we expand the usage of the environment, let's make sure it's being protected. There's been some issues there. There probably continue to be some issues.
Mhm.
So my suggestion, why don't you draft a memo and I'll sign it. We'll talk about it.
All right, what would you like the memo to say?
Buy the ATV now.
Okay.
Love and Kisses Conservation Commission.
All right.
Put a draft together, and at the same time, if Fred has an idea about what he want to do with the, the expansion, what are we talking? Are we talking 5, 10, 20? It'd be nice to know that too.
Fred and Scott are both PEs. Scott Charpentier is our DPW director. They're both PEs. They both love projects like this. So this is going to be like Sudoku for them. So
it does seem very.
Justin's going to call and be like, "Can I help?" Ooh, parking lot.
Oh, another parking lot to design? Yes.
Ooh, where we put the line, there's going to be no lines, but definitely if you've ever been stuck at a party between two civils about anything traffic related, they always have something to say. So I just think that they're going to come up with a great design and bring it back to you and for your permission. And I just didn't want to ask Fred to start until you were ready for that, because I don't want to waste his time. I don't want him, he doesn't need to get yelled. He's doing us a favor. Don't release the beast till we're ready to release him.
That's my suggestion, is that we formally approach the town manager with our request that the ATV be purchased and why. And that would certainly, I think, help control some of the issues taking place on Pisgah, which may lead us to look at a larger expanded parking lot once things are under control.
And I think we would welcome an opposing argument. We just haven't heard one.
It's purchased. Yeah.
Let's say then expand parking lot once area is better managed.
Well, I think we should say we'd consider that. I don't want to see
Yes,
that as a
consider.
statement, but we consider that.
Consider. And then I'm going to cite your vote and discussion. And then welcome any discussion as to why this purchase can't continue.
It's also the police chief's support. To the commissioners, is this making sense to you? Am I going down the rabbit hole here or what?
I'm new to all this. I'd like to know why we can't buy the ATV. I'm curious. I'm also unclear on how a bigger parking lot would solve any of our problems. I think it would just encourage even more parking. And then you got to build another. Then you got to build another parking lot, and then another, and then another.
I think the only problem it would solve is that the cars are overflowing onto Smith Road. That's the only problem it would solve.
I'm not convinced it would even solve that problem, because you would have just as many cars using the new larger parking lot and it would still overflow.
Yeah, I've counted 30 cars up there. We're not going to build that big of a parking lot.
Well, I'll have to, I'll put the trail camera up. I have 2 more trail cameras. I can put them up, point them down the street, and we can just count cars. It's not that hard. I got 4,000 images. I do it once a month. So
you've become big sister.
there is some weird stuff going on up there. I can share my favorite photo if you'd like.
Where this is live.
It's just weird. It's just weird. Very little wildlife.
Well, that brings up a question too. I mean, given Dan's comments, do we just want to nip this right now and say, no, we don't support the expansion of the parking lot?
I think more study.
What's that, Todd?
More study is in order.
Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead with the approach of let's go ahead and purchase the ATV in parallel. Some fun times for Fred and company to design a parking lot. Go from there.
I don't know if we should have Fred design it until you guys are ready to approve that he should move forward. So
Yeah.
he's really busy.
It's wasting his time.
Yeah, so I'll add some trail cameras and count some cars. It'll just be no more pictures. And then we'll draft the memo to the town administrator.
What are,
Yeah, that seem reasonable?
what are people up there for? Are they just walking their dogs, just walking, or are there different activities going on?
People are walking their dogs, hiking and mountain biking. On the weekend, it's full of families, and I only saw one motorized bike. One motorized bike during the day, and then I saw one motorized bike at 12:30 a.m. Yeah, but it's only 2 occurrences the whole month.
I see a lot of mountain bikes go by on the backs of trucks and cars. There's a ton of mountain bike use up there.
Mhm.
On top of there's cars parked up and down the street at certain times. Most of the times the lot's full.
Is it illegal to park along the side of the road like that?
As long as you leave room for one fire truck or school bus to get by, you can park along the public right of way.
Okay, so that's our plan.
Okay.
But informal discussions, we have 3 of them.
Okay.
We have 249 Green Street, 435 Howard, and then Central Mass Mosquitoes. 249 Green Street, that's Eugenia Sokolova. I probably didn't pronounce that, and she is there, and she's been brought in as a panelist. Hello, Eugenia. You're on mute? No, you're not.
Hi.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Very good. Okay.
Hi.
There we go. Hi. So this is 249 Green Street. Mita, do we have pictures here or a schematic?
Yes.
We visited the site. We went to the site last week and took a look at it. I think it's familiar to all of us already here now. But it's very high on the hill. There's a wetland resource area to the right of this picture down toward the street, a fairly large one.
Yep.
Oh, there's an intermittent brook there too.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Okay, so this is informal discussion tonight on that. And I guess we're looking that you are looking for a certificate of compliance at some point in time.
Yes.
And you've talked to Mia before, right? You've had discussion. And Mia has some concerns and questions about some of the work that was done outside of the order. So Mia, what's going on here from your perspective?
So just with any certificate of compliance, we'd look for a list of deviations from the plan, from an engineer, and a statement that everything is functioning as designed. When I visited the site, some initial deviations I noticed were, let me see if I can share the screen again. Can you see Dan here? So this was a temporary sump. It's just a leaching basin that was put in during construction. And it's not on any plans for permanent use. And so if it's going to remain, it has to be engineered to be the right size, and we have to have an O&M for it, operation and maintenance plan for it. And then the second thing that I noticed was this stone here. And this is like a 1-inch, it's a beautiful landscape stone, but I have noticed it migrating. I don't know if I have any pictures. I mean, just a little bit at a time. It's not like pouring down the street. But after, 2-3 years of plowing, this, I imagine it's not going to be here anymore.
Apologize for interruption, but we're not plowing, we're snow blowing that area. And you see that stone is remaining in that place, for the year almost. We went through the winter and all that stuff. So that stone is still there. And plus that stone next to the wall, it works beautifully because, it also works as a drainage towards two retaining wall, water retaining wall. And we didn't have any water on the driveway during the winter time and
the springtime and during
springtime,
the fall and whatever was coming up like a little bit, it was like still very clean and so it goes like towards the towards like cleaning and retaining the water as well.
Yeah, there was some stone migration on the other side of the driveway. Do you have some pictures there too?
No, I don't think I
No?
do.
Okay. But there was, if you can show the driveway again, up the right-hand side, yeah, right there. As you up from where that pointer is, up along some of those rocks, there was some migration of stones over those rocks into the growth area. We did notice that too.
It was so insignificant, and our plan was just to push that stone a little closer to the driveway and maybe put some kind of bricks behind, between the slope and the driveway, so to prevent the migration of the stone. But and again, I'm so glad we put the stone over there because as a water drainage, it works beautifully because there is nothing on the driveway during the rainfall and all that stuff. So it works just better than we expected.
Okay. Anything else, Mia?
No, that's all I noticed. I don't know what we do have like an interim as-built kind of plan from Cornerstone. So I imagine they might use the same engineer. So we'd just be looking for a statement from that engineer with a list of deviations. But I do think, I don't recommend the commission. I mean, we'll have the conversation what you think about the stone and the leaching basin.
Yeah, can I just add one thing? I forwarded again to you, when we were talking about the agenda, the email from Chris Tibbetts that we will be closing the catch basin with the solid cover, and the berm behind it will be flattened, and a small riprap will be installed below the catch basin to receive and clean water runoff. So that will be done. So we are definitely not going to leave it there.
Okay.
So the catch basin is going to be eliminated?
Yes, so it will be covered, and there is like a small berm there, so it will be flattened and everything will be done. So, and this is what we discussed back in December. So, but it was like due to the weather and to the season that we were waiting until better weather to complete this, to complete it. So yeah, catch basin is not an issue. The only thing is actually the stone, but
good.
Once again, we would really love to stay there. Yep. And just to put effort into into not letting it migrate.
Questions, comments from the commission?
I wouldn't have a problem with the stone if they could figure out a way to keep it from migrating down closer to the wetland. I think, sometimes we've seen what works pretty well would be, something like they make that metal edging. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It kind of gets staked in and holds it in place. And maybe it's a certain distance off the driveway, 3 feet or something like that, just to allow the water a place to to shed off the driveway and then infiltrate into the ground, typically works pretty well. So maybe, I think it would be up to your engineer to propose something, but I guess I'd be in favor I'm trying to keep it, but then come up with, a way that really kind of holds it in place there so that it doesn't migrate down the hill.
So we
This is
were,
my opinion though.
sorry. So we were also, we're also suggesting to, and we talked about the cornerstone about it. And so we're planning to install like a black landscape edging strip so that it's, so it is containing the stone within within the certain limits, so it's not migrating on the driveway and like behind the behind the bigger stones.
Would that hold? Would that hold it? Would that be strong enough to hold the stones?
I think the better idea would be to put some kind of the like decorative bricks in the area where the stone might migrate to the area it's not supposed to migrate. I'm sorry, but the bricks would allow, just to drain the water properly, and it's gonna hold the stones, because again, we're not plowing that area, we're just snow blowing. And during that winter season, we've got everything in place, I would say. It's still works pretty good, and the stone is still there.
One of the concerns we would have would be that you may take the snow blowing, but the house may get sold at some point in time, and the person who buys the house is going to have a plow.
It's for sale now, isn't it?
Just for sale now.
And can I also have Eugenia, the gentleman with you, can I have his name for the record?
Alex.
Alex, that's my husband. He was with us at the previous.
Yes, and same last name?
No, his last name is Kvitman, Kvitman.
Okay.
I will send you in the email, so don't
Thank
worry
you.
about this.
Okay, just for the minutes.
Sure.
My thought, I like the idea, having you pull all that stone out seems to be pretty laborious to do that, but putting up some sort of wall or some sort of break to keep that stone from migrating into that wetland seems like a reasonable approach. But my opinion would be, we want that to run the entire length of the driveway, not just certain points. Everywhere where that could be a migration. That's just my opinion on that.
I think that's the right opinion, and because the top portion of the driveway, there is no way to for the stones to migrate, because there is no slope in the top portion of the driveway.
Right where it starts to make the turn down, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, we can do that. It's I think that's gonna work just perfectly fine for the property itself, and plus, in order to retain that water or drain that water properly from the driveway and not creating the river along that driveway, those bricks gonna work just perfectly fine, instead of that plastic cover and stuff like that, or metal stuff, because it's gonna create a kind of the drainage towards to the end of the driveway.
Engineers should help out in that too. They should be able to provide you some guidance. So.
Okay.
Questions, commissioners? Any questions, comments? Okay. Well, you've heard where we are on this, so we need to. I would think that we need to get a list of the deviations from the engineer. It sounds like you've addressed one already, which is the catch basin, and you've got a plan to address that second one. Those are the two, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So it sounds like once those are addressed to the commission's satisfaction, then you have an avenue. So.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Good luck. And Mia's a great resource, so don't hesitate to call her.
And we just need that request just a week before the meeting. Our next meeting is July 12th. Just so maybe actually, since it's July 12th, a week before will be the 4th of July. So a few extra days. We need it 5 business days before the meeting, just so we can get it on the agenda.
Before we go,
Okay.
let me caution you one thing. Before you go ahead and do something, run it by Mia. Just make sure that we don't get caught up here with you trying to get a certificate and we're saying no and so forth. So she can make sure you're on the right path.
All right. Thank you.
Great.
Super. Thank you. Good luck.
so
Thanks.
much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night. Okay. 435 Howard Street. Nicholas Dufek is here. Hello, Nick.
Hi. Hello.
Okay, so you want to put a boardwalk footbridge someplace on Howard Street. We actually, we viewed this. We went out on last week and we saw the area you want to work in, I think. So we have an idea. Why don't you tell us what you want to do? And again, it's
Well,
informal discussion, right? We're in formal discussion here.
right. Yeah, so I live on a shared driveway called Sparrow Lane, which is off of Howard Street. And there's a little stream across our shared driveway on our property. And I'd like to, as your note says, have a little footbridge across it. Yeah, there's the stream to the right of the driveway, just below the circle there. I'd like a little bridge so that I can take my 2.5-year-old daughter across it and have her be able to look at the water and see it go by. And that's pretty much it.
Any pictures, Mia?
Yes. Can you see? Nick just sent me a few pictures. So we'll start with his. Can you see them?
I can see the stream, yes.
Yeah.
So it is an intermittent stream.
These were taken just today.
Okay.
So it's a little fuller than it usually is.
And then I have a few from the site visit from the road. So this is what the area looks like from the road.
And the stream is down how far? Maybe
Right, see where my cursor is? Maybe 40 feet from the road. And there's also an outfall. So the wetlands creeps a little closer to the road where the outfall is here.
Nick, have you discussed this with Mia?
Yes.
Okay, so she's giving you some concerns, potential concerns we would have, and maybe some means to address what you want to do?
Yes, my initial thoughts were more grandiose, but Mia suggested that the bridge be restricted to no more than 3 feet wide, boardwalk construction, no Permanent footing, and that would accomplish my primary goal of being able to get across the stream with my kit.
So it's a 30-inch wide footbridge, with no footings, is exempt under the act. It's just a pedestrian pathway. Doesn't even need a permit.
So no RDA would be needed?
No, there'd
Okay.
be very little. It's just a boardwalk and a footpath.
But if you want to get more complex than that, then you're going to run into some other regulations and other filing requirements and so forth. So
Yep, and no
if
tree
this works
removal.
for you, Nick, it sounds like it's a good approach.
Yeah, I think it works well for me. It's 30 inches is the max?
Yeah, 30-inch wide footpath.
Okay.
And then the boardwalk would be just part of that footpath, and no tree removal would be allowed.
Okay.
So we have a 25-foot no touch under the local bylaw. And so when you do that footpath, we want to look for as little impact as possible, because we can't prevent you from accessing your land. You do have a right to access your land by foot and cross and walk. And so allowing you a footpath and a footbridge there is permitted. But then anything bigger than that, any tree removal, land clearing, anything wider than 30 inches would need a permit, the notice of intent.
Okay, got it. So the path can be 30 inches, the footbridge itself can be 36 inches.
30
Is there-
inches. It's 30 inches to keep any equipment off of it. It's just meant for people, not equipment.
I see, okay. And is there a length restriction on the bridge?
No, I don't think, let me double check, but I think I already checked that this is not within bordering land subject to flooding. Let me just double check. No, it is not. If it was in the floodplain, we'd want to make sure it was a certain span so that during flooding, and then for your protection, you do want to make sure that it fully spans the stream so that it doesn't float away.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there any, you said no cutting, is there any sort of, can he cut brushes and so forth, or is there some sort of guidance that anything larger than 2 inches or 4 inches or X inches can't be touched, or what?
That's up to you guys.
Nothing in the regs says that.
I don't think so. What's your tree removal? Do we have, I think tree removal says 6 inches. Let me pull that up.
You plan to do tree removals? Do you know now that you might have to take down some trees or clear some brush, or probably clear some brush anyway?
I will for sure have to clear some brush to get to the stream. It might be nice to take out a few trees. I don't think I have to, but I haven't decided yet where the best place to put the bridge would be, and I guess that the question of whether or not I can remove trees will influence that decision.
It's 6 inches was in your tree removal policy. Anything greater, 6 inches or greater in diameter.
Okay, so if I see something that's bigger than that and I want to remove it, I should come back to you guys and ask.
Anything within, we actually, commissioners, we have to talk maybe after this about your tree removal policy still says within 15 feet. So that's current. Like there's a 25-foot no touch, right, and then there's a 15-foot tree removal policy. The tree removal policy is actually to allow people to cut trees within that area without a permit, which says 15 feet right now, but there is a 25-foot no touch. So maybe you guys could discuss that tree removal if you want to see or not see, and what size diameter trees. We're a little conflicting.
I think for the purposes of doing a footpath, generally you try to keep brush removal to like a 1/2 inch or smaller, not 6-inch trees. You know, that's not doing a footpath, but that's my personal opinion.
There's a specific dead tree that I'm thinking of, and there's a nice slope down to a kind of rocky edge of the stream where I think the bridge would go well, and it's really inaccessible if that tree stays there. So that's kind of why I'm thinking about tree removal. But it doesn't have to be there.
More comments from the commission?
Well, you know, the other part of the forestry thing is that we can't really restrict people from harvesting firewood on their property for the use of firewood.
Good point.
So there's different ways to look at it.
Yeah, and it's up to a cord a year. Is that right?
No, it's more than that. It's up to like, I believe it's like 10 or 12 cords that you can cut in the wetlands for your own consumption, and it's your own property, your own use. And that was one of the things that I brought up, you know, that kind of conflicts with our tree clear policy, but anyways.
But dead trees burn too, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I think that probably the best thing to do is figure out where you want to put your bridge and then have somebody come take a look at it and go from there.
Sounds good. I guess I'll contact Mia at that point. Is that the right procedure?
Yes.
Yeah, Mia knows where we're coming from, I think. And if there was an issue of some sort, then we come back here. But as long as you build that bridge to spec as required, and Mia's happy with what kind of cuttings come down, if any, I think we're good.
So we'd look at, maybe staking in the location and keeping it to 30 inches. And then maybe you could either, you could mark the trees you want to remove, either with wetland flags. I would suggest wetland flags. In the end, you can use tape, but we could just use like, however you want to mark the trees. Then I could come out, take a look. we can talk about it. And then if you really need a bigger tree removed, we can come back to the commission, take photos of that tree, figure out if they need a permit.
Okay. Great.
Good.
So I think the next step would be to site the trail with some wooden stakes, and they sell like this. It's called flagging. It's just a roll of like loose tape that you can tie around things. They sell it at Rockies.
Okay, cool.
And flag the trees you want to come out.
Does that help, Nick?
Yeah, very helpful. Thank you.
Good luck. It sounds like a worthwhile effort, and we'll try and help you get there.
Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for yours. Take care.
You too.
All right. Mosquito control project.
This was Todd's request.
How timely. So this goes, I've been meaning to ask this for a while, but Mr. Dufek is my immediate neighbor. And on the other side of him, a couple years back, I dropped a dime on him because he was putting in a new lawn, and I figured I drove by it every day and it seemed like he should probably get in order, and he groused about it, but he ultimately did. And then a couple of years later, the mosquito control project comes along, and they must have torn up a tenth of a mile of that same stream that you just saw by straightening it and tearing up the banks. So my thought the whole time was, what's the point?
Of them tearing up the stream?
Well, we've made one poor bastard go through this whole regulatory thing to put in a lawn on the other side of a paved driveway when the mosquito control people come through and they completely denigrate the same resource, the exact same resource.
So they do
and there's
have
still mosquitoes, by the way.
Really? I could look into that specific project and see how that got that way.
That last summer they showed up. They came in with like 4 pickup trucks and a little backhoe thing, and they scraped out the whole thing.
The same. I didn't see anything when I was on. So it's on Sparrow Lane, that same area.
They went from Howard Street all the way back to where it crosses where Sparrow Lane crosses the culvert.
Let me pull up.
Are you looking for some sort of communication between that group and this group on?
I figured there was some sort of exemption that they had.
They do, yeah. They're like
That's just what I was curious what it was, because the whole thing seemed kind of preposterous to me.
So can you see this map here?
Yeah.
You said this whole stream from Howard Street?
Yeah, you got it from where the cursor is back to where it crosses right there. Yep.
Right here. Are you sure that wasn't part of the forestry management? This was the mosquito control people?
I'm nearly certain it was, because I think that's what it said on the sides of the trucks.
So Howard Street along Sparrow Lane. They channeled and cleared, because what they do is
cleared the side. Yeah.
When there's pooling water, when the water's not moving, the town of Northborough is a member of the Central Mass Mosquito Control Project. And so we pay them an annual fee. And when we see water that's pooling that should be moving, they go in and they clear the obstructions to get it moving again, because the mosquitoes breed in the pooling water, the standing water. But they shouldn't be creating new wetlands or altering wetlands. They're supposed to be maintaining and clearing obstructions.
Okay.
I can visit this. So I'm sorry, I don't know where, I didn't see this.
No, and I didn't say anything because I figured it was completely legit and they had an exemption to do it.
They do.
I mean, there's plenty of standing water in town that they're not going to get to. I mean, it just makes no sense. There's standing water. There's standing water on the other side of the culvert that's always going to be there. It's a swamp.
Yeah, they can't alleviate all standing water. They would spray. If it's a swamp, standing water, breeding area, they spray it.
Okay. You've answered my question. I think from informal discussion, from my purposes, it's over. They've got some sort of exemption. They're not supposed to be doing anything other than moving
obstructions to keep the water flowing.
And I guess those are vegetative obstructions. They're not going to be taking rocks or altering, meanders in order to straighten it, to make it flow
No, they
fast?
shouldn't be straightening it, no. But like the best examples on Church Street, there's kind of that old man-made, let me see if I can find it. Oops, I have the FEMA zones on. It's the dentist office on Church Street. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Building sits in back.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it. It might be this one. This area here, sometimes this gets all blocked up, or under the driveway gets blocked up, and they come in every year just about and clean this out. I think years ago, someone dug this out to make it like a landscaped area, but it was all my aerial photos show it there. Could be an old fire pond, could be an old irrigation pond, but it often stagnates. And they go, and I see them as I'm driving into work at least once a year. They're in there cleaning it out, and they're hauling out muck and leaves, debris. With the beavers, they were, breaking up the impoundments. They're supposed to do it in a way, they're supposed to do it slowly and in a way to not produce erosion, to not produce sediment flow. They're supposed to stockpile away so that it drains.
Okay, I'll keep a lookout for it next time.
If you see them making a mess, making coffee water, causing problems, give me a call. All my interactions with them have been positive so far. I watched them break the impoundment on Juniper Hill. Remember the CSX impoundment that was flooding all of Juniper Hill Golf Course last year? I was out there on site with the health agent watching them do it. It's really hard work. They're like in waders up to their chests, just yanking logs out by hand. And they do have a small excavator with rubber tires that they get in as close as they can.
Todd, you got your answer.
I got my answer.
Okay. So if you see anything, give me a call.
See the headlines now. Man chains himself to mosquito equipment to prevent river digging. All right. That's all we got on the agenda.
You wanted me to update you on the 144, 150 West Main.
Yes, yes. This is the one that's being built. The one lot is now 2.
Yeah. So let me see if I can. Well, I shouldn't share a file. So we just got an email today that they're going back and forth with the Board of Health on the septic plan. And they had an iteration where their new septic system was going to be within the 100 foot. It would be at 87 feet. And they asked if they would need another amendment. And I did respond that yes, they would need another amendment because that's a waiver from the local regulations. Is it to go in within that 100 foot under your local regulations? With Title 5 is you're supposed to have 50 feet between the wetlands and the soil absorption system. Your local bylaw requires 100 feet. The Board of Health local regulations mirror ours with that same 100 foot requirement. They're having some issues meeting a setback to property lines, so they had moved it over. And I told them they had to come back with a minute order. So I spoke with Kristen. Kristen Black's the health agent. I spoke with Fred because it's also in groundwater too. And I spoke with James Tatrout, their engineer. So they might be coming back with something else.
Heads up. Okay. Anything else going on from the commissioner's perspectives? No? Okay. July 12th meeting. Anybody know they're not going to be here? Diane has a potential issue. Justin, you're gone.
I'm gone. I'll be down the Cape. I thought it was July 8th. This last agenda says July 8th. Maybe that's wrong.
No, that's
Okay.
a Thursday.
Yeah, no, that
My
week
bad.
after the 4th, I'm away that week.
Okay, so no Justin. Anybody else? It is vacation season, so everybody else around? Okay.
Diane
good.
said she might have a conflict.
Right. And Diane will let you, Diane, as soon as you know what's going on, I'm sure you'll let Mia know so that we can advise the that one group earlier. Are you okay? And in August, Right now, August 9th is the proposed date, and Mia has a conflict, so she's proposing moving to the 16th of August.
Fine with me.
I don't know if anybody knows that they're going to be away during August 16th. No, not at this point in time. Okay.
Do you mind if I change it on the website? I think you have to vote to approve to move the meeting date. Because you had voted to approve the calendar previously.
So moved.
Second,
By Diane, roll call. Tom Beals. You're muted, Tom Beals.
Yes.
Okay, Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
I vote yes. August 16th it is.
Thank you.
That's all we got. 0 Hudson Street, you think? Next month?
So far, yeah, but I mean, they've requested a lot of continuances, so it's their schedule. You know, they're the applicant.
Very good. Thank you, folks.
Move to adjourn.
That's right. And let's see if it's a second on that.
Second.
Tom
It's Tom.
Beals.
Okay. 8:22
Is that a
p.m.
yes, Tom?
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
So
Good night,
one more
folks.
thing before
Yeah.
you go, if any, as of right now, we are planning on meeting in person on July 12th. We haven't received anything different from the state, but it's still moving through legislature, but we don't know what it looks like yet. So the planning board is meeting in person tomorrow night. We're planning on meeting in person July 12th. If any of you have any issues meeting in person, please reach out to me and to Greg or either of us, and we will try to do everything we can to make you feel comfortable and safe.
Very good.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim DiGiulio. Another great job.